you guys aren't shying away from like, this is more than just a physical place.
Yeah.
Like there's more to your health.
If you get to the deeper why, that's when you're going to get more buy-in for those other things. Everything we do, we want to come back to like the why.
The simple thing is usually like right in front of us.
I don't feel like a dad. Like I can't go on walks with, like that gets deep real quick. Once they realize that, it opens the door for like, okay, where does your identity come from?
Welcome to First and Focused, the podcast where faith meets leadership. I know you're going to put me on the spot. I don't know what you're going to ask me to say. I'm Mark Greaves, and in each episode, I sit down with business and industry leaders who put God first in their work and stay focused on building his kingdom through their calling. I could sit here and talk with you all day.
Keep up the great work, brother. Lord is using you powerfully. I love you. I love watching what Jesus is doing in your life.
Welcome, everyone, to the First and Focus show. I'm your host, Mark Greaves, and as you know, we interview leaders from various industries who are using their work and their life to honor God and put him first as their focus. So today we are joined by Kevin Nowacki and Mr. Kenton Keeslar. Guys, thank you for joining.
Thanks for having us.
All right, everybody starts with an intro, so I'm gonna do the intro real quick. Kevin Nowacki and Kenton Keeslar, you guys are both doctors of physical therapy and the founders of Elevate Human Performance. Your website copy reads that you are a health community and gym in Columbus, Ohio, where faith, love, and purpose guide you to become the healthiest version of yourself. Your approach to rehabilitation and patient care often go against the grain and outside the norms within the traditional healthcare model. You each bring different perspectives to your work: collegiate athletics, mechanical engineering, and a shared Christian faith, just to name a few. And we're excited to have you on the show.
Let's
So,
go.
Thanks for having us.
what I miss? Obviously, there's probably more to it than that.
There's always more depth, but that was a great overview, I think.
Yeah, I think it covered a lot.
So you were collegiate athletics.
Yeah.
Were you collegiate athletics, or were you just the engineer guy?
I played club basketball. I'd like to say that.
All right, we got a club basketball.
So no, not really.
A club basketball engineer.
Yeah.
And then what did you play?
Soccer. I played soccer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know. I'm not on your side. Soccer games to me are always boring. I've gone to games where it's 0-0 at the end, and I'm like, this was just pointless. Like,
Yeah.
I watched this whole thing and nobody scored.
From watching it, definitely can be boring sometimes, but playing it, I mean, you're always moving, so that's why I
Yeah,
fell
that's
in love with
true.
it, yeah.
Do you still run a lot?
Here
Or
and
you,
there.
You get
yeah.
tired of it.
I got tired of it right after. Like right after I ended, I didn't run. It was a lot of.
Because how many miles do you run in a game, typically? Probably depends on the position.
We never
I guess.
did tracking, but like if you look at the studies, I mean, yeah, depending on the position, it's like 5 to like 13 miles. Like you can get up there in distance.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So that's why I didn't want to play that sport.
A lot of running.
Yeah, I like running now for just like, exercise and zoning out and like listen to some music and stuff. But yeah, running around a soccer field was not my
Yeah.
thing.
Just a little more jumping in volleyball than running.
And you are not very tall. How did you get into club basketball? What was that?
I'm just I'm like the classic small white guard who's a little like defensive specialist. That's
Getting
it.
every loose ball.
Exactly.
Being annoying on defense.
That's exactly right.
That makes sense.
I loved it. I love the game so much, so I just stuck with it as long as I could.
So you guys are doctors of physical therapy, but you started out as an engineer, is that right?
Yes, that's
So
correct.
how did that journey go?
Man, my whole family's engineers, and I was always blessed and gifted in math and science and physics and all that stuff. So it was kind of the path laid before me. And then while I was in school, as I was finishing up, God was tugging on my heartstrings that there was more for me in this life, and that I had a deeper purpose and more people to impact. So I had the quarter life existential crisis and went back to school to study physical therapy. And Kenton was a big influence in that as well, because that's where he was going from the get-go. And we jumped ship and restarted, and it was great.
I just really liked college a lot. Like that's what you guys both decided, right?
Way too much school.
Yeah, how can we keep paying to learn more stuff? Yeah.
It was a tough decision, but we're here, and I don't think I would have it any other way.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, for me personally, it's always awesome to meet guys that are using their faith incorporated with their work, where you're just living a fully integrated life. I don't know, you guys are doing that. Like, give me a little bit of an idea of like Elevate. What's different? Like when you guys founded this business, like what's the mission? And then how do you guys incorporate your faith into your work?
Yeah, so I think like originally when we came up with the idea of Elevate, it was always people driven. Like we wanted to create a health community where people could kind of have a third space, whether it be with physical therapy or the gym side of things, which we can get into, but just have a third space where they can really build relationships, have a community, have somewhere to go where people pour love and care into them. Originally, I will say though, it wasn't just where we were at with our walks of faith. It wasn't very faith integrated into that.
Yeah.
But through the process of growing our faith, we quickly realized like, okay, it is people driven, but like now it can be very kingdom focused and we can have that impact in a unique way.
Yeah. No, that's really good.
I think that when we initially came up with the idea of Elevate, it's important to note when we were in school, you start to see the inner workings of healthcare and how the sausage is made, so to speak.
I was going to ask about this. So just, give it to us.
This is a really important part of our like origin story and where we have come from to this point. And man, it really opens your eyes as far as who governs what and how people get paid and what you're allowed to do with patients or not allowed to do. And it was really hard. And especially for me as going into a second career,
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what I'm made to do. I really want to impact people. And this is my purpose. And then you get there and you're just handcuffed half the time because you have to document so much on your computer when you're with patients. You sometimes are forced to see 2 to 3 people at once, and insurance companies really regulate what they'll reimburse for or what you're allowed to do with patients. And it was really hard to impact people in the way that I thought I could.
So at times, are you like, all right, I've got this training. I know what I want to do, but this is what the insurance will pay for. So this is my box of what I'm allowed to do. How does that work?
It's the craziest thing ever. It's absolutely broken, and it's what made us break free from it. But I always said it like this: we're convincing someone in a cubicle that we know how to do our job.
Yeah.
And they'll judge whether it's good enough or not. And it's the most backwards things of all time. And you know what? It is important to note that insurance is very necessary. Like it helps a lot of people who maybe can't afford it or are part of certain plans and need that stuff. There is a time and a place for it, but with who we work with specifically, it creates more problems than benefits. But we're basically convincing someone in a cubicle that we can do our
All right, we won't spend a ton of time on this. I just have to know what's typically the background of the person in the cubicle deciding whether or not the insurance is going to be approved or not.
Some finance background, no medical background.
Occasionally you'll get like a physical therapist who just went a different route, but more times than not, they don't have a lot of background in like what we do.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
So how long did you guys spend on that side of things? Like in the traditional?
Yeah. I mean, all of our, so 3 years of schooling is all guided by that. So that kind of, that type of care. And then I worked for a year at a traditional outpatient insurance-based clinic. And again, you just feel handcuffed. Because of the guidelines from insurance, you are more driven towards quantity versus quality. So like very quickly you're seeing multiple people at once and you just lose why you got into it.
Yeah.
Like all the stresses of the job, every job has stresses, but like all the stresses of the job are created by things that you can't really control. And then it takes away from why you actually got in to the field to help people, to work with people, to know their stories. And you just lose that ability to do it with kind of the regulations that you have to go around.
No, that makes sense. How do you even do 3 at once? Like if you have 3 people in there, how are you actually making any kind of an impact?
A lot of juggling.
Good question.
Yeah. I don't know. It's the clinic I was at, you had assistants, so that was helpful. But even then it's not ideal for anyone involved.
Did they tell you that going in? Like obviously you got into it with like, high ideals, you switched mate. I mean, going into that career, do you know, hey, in practice, fast forward my life 5 years from now, this is what the day-to-day is going to look like?
I think in the classroom setting, no. Because you're just learning how to be a physical therapist. You don't really or I didn't really realize it until you got on like your clinical rotations. And even then, like all practices are different, but I will say like I'm sure when like my mentors got into it, like it wasn't the case. And then over time, like kind of insurance has regulated more and more and more. And so the quantity has had to go up. So didn't really realize it fully until you get in the field and you start doing it. But even then you're a student clinician, so you're not really released into it until you kind of have your first job.
So I don't usually see a lot of coincidences anymore. I see like people's paths crossing specifically for a reason. Like what you guys are doing now at Elevate is so different and outside the box, but you're doing it together. Like what was it about? Like tell me how your guys' paths cross where you're like, hey, maybe we want to consider doing something that goes totally outside the norms, because it takes a lot of courage to do that, to step out of what you were doing and do this. Like, just give me that kind of the backstory.
So I think going all the way back to the beginning, Kenton and I grew up down the street from each other.
Oh, you did? You guys known each other that
We've
long?
known each other our whole lives, been best friends basically since 2nd or 3rd grade, literally one street over. And
that's really cool.
Have stayed really, really
awesome.
close our whole lives, which is such a huge blessing and an incredible opportunity to be able to do that. When I decided to go back to school for physical therapy, I know Kenton was going to Ohio University. Said, what better opportunity than join Kenton there and like keep doing this thing.
How much of him doing it already was like made you want to go do it too?
A pretty big impact for sure. I remember going to like visit you when you were there in your first year and like check it out. And absolutely, he was a huge driver in that. Because we talked about it all the time. And I always had this interest and always think it was in the back of my mind. But then when we got in, and within my first year and a half, probably, you start to see some of this stuff play out in classes and clinicals. And I think we just were like looking at each other saying, I think we can do better.
Yeah.
I think there's an opportunity to treat people better, to have bigger impact, and just to create
Now,
something
is that
different.
mindset normal? Or are you guys the only guys in their class thinking this way?
We were probably, I mean, I hate to toot our own horn, we were the only people thinking that way.
Yeah, so that's
I think
what I'm
most
saying is
people
like,
are, I got to just get through school
yeah.
and do the thing. But man, there's such a clear opportunity to just do better because it felt like I was almost doing a misservice to people
Yeah.
in a way that I saw it being done. So we definitely saw the window of opportunity of, hey, I think we can do something. We were fortunate enough to, through, as funny as it is, social media, like see people that were doing something similar and start asking them questions, go and visit them, start to get this idea in our mind of what it could look like. And then really started to chip away while we were in school of putting together Elevate. And yeah, that was a crazy journey, but it seemed like a no-brainer. I mean, it was a no-brainer at the time.
That's crazy. Where'd the name come from?
I think we always had this idea. I remember we were like ideating names about the business. We always had this name or this thing of like, we want to push people higher. We want to like help them get to their top of their potential. So we looked at like peak and mountain and all this stuff, and the Elevate stood out. It seemed easy. It seemed like it came off the tip of the tongue. I think there was room for like faith intertwined in it, even in our logo with like the Trinity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so it was multi-purpose and meaningful, but we were just looking to push people towards their limits and their goals. And that's kind of where it came from.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. All right. I've got to ask you this because in the first thing I see when I go to the website is faith, love, and purpose guide you to become the healthiest version of yourself. So you guys aren't shying away from like, this is more than just a physical place.
Yeah.
Like there's more to your health than just, you know, your joints or, you know, a muscle or your weight or something like that. It doesn't say, you know, drugs, diet, and exercise. You guys literally have faith, love, and purpose. Like, tell me about that. How does that all incorporate itself into how you guys work with others?
Yeah, I think like rewinding a little bit, when we first got into it, when it was people driven, we were also very maybe cautious on how we used our word choice. Like we were growing in our faith and realized we had an opportunity, but like, okay, how do we make it known, but not like too known to where it may turn people away?
Yeah.
And then through like mentorship and being challenged, we're like, no, we need to make that very evident. Like that's the root of what we do and why we do it. And I think like along with the choice of words and not seeing like drug, exercise, or diet or anything like that, the faith and all of that, the purpose, the why, like if you get to the deeper why, that's when you're going to get more buy-in for those other things anyways, for exercise, for movement. So I think like everything we do, we want to come back to like the why. Like, why are you here? Like, why do you want to get out of pain? And like a lot of people will hear those quick fix options, but you don't get the buy-in, you don't get the deeper passion, the deeper purpose. And like when we incorporate those things, whether it be through just an easy interaction with our members or our plan of care, you just always tend to see better results because there's a deeper connection between you and the patient, or you and the member, or you and the team member. So
I've never been asked the question as an athlete or any of the stuff that's happened since college where my body's gone wrong. Why do you want to get out of pain? It's never one time been asked.
And it takes like we've had cases where it's like, why? Oh, just to make my shoulder feel better.
I was gonna say, what do people say? Like,
and you have to like
they're caught off
keep
guard,
asking
sure.
whys. Like we went through a mentorship course and they said like, just keep asking the why. Like, okay, why do you want to be out of pain? Why do you want your shoulder to feel better? Why do you want to throw a ball? And then like you'll get to like, oh, I just want to play with my kids, like be able to throw a baseball with my kids. And then you get to like, okay, that's your why.
It's like 5 questions later. It's like, oh, now I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's work towards that goal. What a crazy concept. I mean, it seems very simple.
Yeah.
Man, what isn't it often where you uncover, like when you start really dusting stuff off, you're like, wow, the simple thing is usually like right in front of us, but we
Yeah.
overcomplicate it. Like why do you want to get out of pain? It's so simple.
I think that the nature of that is so amazing to create an opportunity too for deeper conversations. Because you have someone who comes in with back pain. Well, I just want to get out of back pain. Okay, that's superficial in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I can't throw my kid in the pool. I don't feel like a dad. Like I can't go on walks. Like that gets deep real quick. And then you start, once they realize that, oh my, I don't have part of my identity. I can't do the things that I feel like that give me value and purpose. Then it opens the door for like, okay, what do you put your hope in? You know, like where does your identity come from? What is your identity? And it really starts to open up doors and opportunities to have deeper conversations. And man, we've had some really powerful conversations for people who seemingly lose their identity. A lot of athletes, a lot of parents that can't do the things they love or feel like they are made for. And it's really, really cool to go deeper.
It's just so interesting listening to you guys talk, just because like as you're telling these stories, like I'm just getting hit with like different, like Jesus would focus, like he could be in a crowd, but there's stories where all of a sudden like it's just this one person and it's like you're the person that matters. It's just you and him. And most people don't get treated like that. You know, they go to a competitor of yours and it's me and two other people being treated by this one doctor of physical therapy at the same time. I feel like a number. So it's just like, all right, hey, quick fix, maybe get you out of pain a little bit here and there, versus like the intentional, I want to get to know you. I want to understand you. Let's work towards something together that matters. That's not just quick fix. I mean, that's very, very different. And you're not outwardly like bringing your faith into that conversation, but you're modeling our Savior when you do that. It's pretty unbelievable to like just hear the stories. What are some of the stories? I mean, obviously without naming names, but are there people who have come in that you've seen transform in a different way that give us some examples?
Yeah, I think, I mean, and at different levels too, like team members, like our staff, our gym members and our patients, like I'll touch briefly to a staff member, just continually to be exposed in like healthy environments and just being able to pour into him in a way like you probably wouldn't get at a traditional gym setting where they're just kind of worried about you bringing in clients and getting their pay, really getting to pour into him and like build that deeper relationship that's not transactional. And he actually, I don't know, a few months ago ended up getting baptized. So like being able to go there and like see that transformation and like continue to like not just be like, okay, like now like you're on your own, but continue to walk with him in that. It's been awesome. And then countless patient stories. I'll let Kevin touch on some.
Yeah, man, it's so cool. And we just recorded a couple testimonial videos because you do see some pretty serious transformation. And on the gym side of things, we see a lot of people just get connected to community. Like we really try to push that hard. This is not just a space for you to come and work out. It's a place for you to find people who are like-minded, chasing after the same things as you. And so we found people who come in very isolated and then get plugged in and start going to church with people or just have new friends and are working out with people. And so that's really powerful. And then from a patient perspective, I mean, we help people get out of pain and back to the things they love, right? But we really help people believe in themselves and build confidence in themselves and start to, just truly believe that they can do this and that they don't need to rely on me. Like one of the big things we do is teach people that they can do this on their own. We get told,
that's kind of counter
right?
business. Yeah,
it's a bad business perspective.
Exactly,
it is like we want to teach you how to be autonomous and self-efficacious. So you don't need to rely on me, and that's a huge part of what we do. That's how we provide value. And I think we've just heard many of stories of people saying, like, even as small as I went to the gym on my own for the first time in my life, and like feel comfortable in there.
Yeah,
or overcome body image anxiety and depression because you shift their mindset about, it's not about my aesthetics. It's about who I am, my strength, what I can do with my body. And people don't look at me just for my body. And so like, that's really powerful and stuff like that. And everything along those lines, all the way to getting people out of pain and be able to play with their kids or get up and down off the ground with their grandkids and things like that. It's been pretty transformative and powerful.
When you guys are in school and you're learning how to do this, does any of that ever cross your mind? Or is it literally just like, this is how this part of the body works? This is how this part of the body works. Does any of it ever get down into those levels of the reason that we do this is that life needs to be lived? People are coming in here for a specific reason.
I mean, no.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you'll get into the dimensions of pain, but even then, like you almost like take away the person element. Yeah, you're taught like, okay, here's what needs to be done in this 30 to 60 minute visit. Here's kind of the general things to do if this is what's wrong. And then you're on to the next person. And yeah, you lose sight that it is a person in front of you with real life stuff, with different things going on. We've had multiple sessions where it's like, we don't even get to an exercise because it's just like, hey, how was your week? And then something comes up. It's like, okay, let's just talk about that.
Yeah.
Because that has an element to healing deeper than doing this exercise 10 times well. So that's also been really rewarding.
And I think that is something that you're just unable to do in traditional settings.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, I don't want to act like we're like set apart so much. Like, there are physical therapists that I know that want to have these conversations, that do aim to care about the people entirely.
Yeah, I'm
but
sure.
They just can't. They're just
they're overworked. Their
overworked.
schedule is so booked up that there's no opportunity.
You can't bill for those types of conversations. You
Right.
can't bill for 60 minutes of talking,
Yeah.
right? Of therapy, really. And I think that's just the nature of the business. So the reason we left that and exist in a place like we do is so we can have those conversations and be there for people. It's just people are handcuffed all the time. In school, I'm thinking back now, you know, they tell you to care about the whole person, but it's kind of just brushed over, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have always viewed myself as like really good at exercise prescription and like making sure they have the right exercises. Never in a million years did I think I would be wearing like a psychology hat during this and like talking for 60 minutes. That was never on my bingo card for being a PT, but that's where a lot of the change comes from.
Well, here's what's crazy. As you guys are talking about this process, like in my own life, like at a peak level of stress moment, this is years ago, running a big business and I had a lot going on, right? We'll spare the details, but my neck was a mess. I think I talked about this with you at coffee. Neck's a mess. My shoulder blades and my spine. Like if I stood and looked in the mirror with my shirt off, like my neck was like an inch off on my shoulder. Like everything was but it was all stress related. It wasn't because I injured myself or I was playing sports too hard or lifting incorrectly or something. It was just stress.
Yeah.
So in that moment, had I gone to like a traditional, I mean, what am I going to get? Massage? Like, what are they going to do? Crack me around? I don't know what you guys do. I don't know all the methods, but what I really needed was somebody to help me deal with the stress of the situation and understand it better.
Yeah.
And because once that situation was alleviated, everything was back to normal. And it wasn't because I did some physical therapy routine. You guys are tapping into something that's totally different. There is no quick fix for that. So are you guys seeing situations where you're able to, and how do you even train for it? Because this has got to just come from probably within who you guys are, right?
There's probably a big element of that for sure. There are some really cool resources or techniques that start to tap into some of this stuff. One of them, for instance, is called motivational interviewing, where it puts you in the driver's seat as a patient. It takes us out. And so it allows for those types of conversations to be had. But I think it's just become a lot of learning.
Yeah.
And in saying like, oh, wow, that really tug on some heartstrings and opened up doors to have deeper conversations. And that made a difference. And it's been a lot of learning on the fly and figuring out.
Yeah, because it's obviously not what you're fully trained to do, and you're not a psychologist, but they're there to go through some sort of physical transformation. But by asking the right questions and allowing them space to talk and just being an open door and being available to listen, man, that's got to just transform people, I'm sure, in ways that you can't.
And not to like sell us short, but like I think because how the traditional model in all of medicine is set up, like it has such a low like expectation and standard. Like a lot of doctor visits you're seen for 30 seconds, you're seen for a minute, or you're seeing an assistant. And so like,
what is that all about?
Yeah. And so like I think it's just like, I will say I do think we're good at what we do, but I think just giving people time to actually feel seen and heard is like, that's 90% of it versus like, oh, they're just going to throw these exercises at me, write some stuff, and then I'll see them next time.
Yeah.
I just think it is a low entry level of like care that we currently have in the medical field in general, that like getting a taste of something different like opens a lot of doors for that person. Like without even having to like prod at them. Like they just feel more seen. And so there's more trust, there's more like connection, there's more intimacy. So like they feel like they can like open up a little bit.
So, okay, has the word gotten out on like how you guys do this? Because like one of my questions is next is like demand wise, let's say that the word gets out that like, hey, when you go to Elevate, it's different. Like you're actually getting paid attention to. They care about you as a whole person. They're going to understand like what your purpose and your motivation really is, and they will get you there in more ways than just, you know, traditional methods. How many of you guys exist? Like, let's say that everybody figured this out. We're like, yeah, we want to go there. Is there enough room to expand? Like, how does that work?
I think that the word is getting out about what we offer and who we are and how we do it differently. I think a big problem that we face or we see is people don't know that they need something deeper. They don't know to search for something deeper. They know, hey, my knee hurts. I'm going to go to PT because that's what you're supposed to do. And like Kenton mentioned, expectations. I think most people think of physical therapy and they think of, you know, carpet from the 80s that hasn't been cleaned, a couple tables, maybe a couple rubber bands, and like dumbbells that go up to 10 pounds. And they think that's what physical therapy is. And so that's what they're looking for. That's just what you do until I can get in to see my sports medicine doctor or whatever. And so people come to us and they say, oh, I didn't know this is what this was going to be. I didn't know we were going to be working like this. And I didn't know we would make this progress in this type of way. And so I think people are talking and spreading the word. We're getting more and more stories from that. And we're trying to tell people stories because they're so powerful. But I think a lot of times people just don't know that that's an option. Like we can see you off the street. Like you don't have to go to your primary care provider to get a referral to us. You can come see us today. People don't know that. You can use your HSA and FSA dollars to come see us. People don't know that. Like there's just these barriers that I think that keep people from getting a deeper restorative healing.
Yeah.
That just because of a lack of awareness or whatever. And so we're really trying to tell that story and spread that information so people know, hey, you can get real healing and get back to the things you love, probably spending less money than through the traditional route anyways. And I think we're just trying to continue telling that story.
Are there enough guys like you that have this mindset? Let's say you were like, hey, I need to bring on 2 more guys, you know, doctors of physical therapy tomorrow. Are there folks who are like, yeah, I want to sign up for this and get out of what I was doing and go this direction?
I think it's trending that way. I think 2 things. I think like from just society as a whole, I think with the last 5-6 years of healthcare in general, like how like things around the world have happened. And I think people are starting to become more aware of health, like their own health, and being proactive versus reactive. Like I think it's well known, like the United States has very, very good reactive medicine. Like we have if you had something happen to you traumatically, like you want to be in the United States. Where I think we fall behind is in like proactive and like being preventative with just like lifestyle stuff. And a part of that is the gym. Part of that is how you eat. And so like, I think there's a mindset shift or we're in a mindset shift that is kind of help that. And that's with practitioners too. I think, like even talking to like a lot of my classmates, like they understand the current model and like, it's not always sustainable. Like, even if you just look at it from like a work life, but like, it's just not sustainable for a lot of people. And so because of that, I think people are realizing like, hey, I got into this to help people. There has to be a better way.
Yeah.
And I think our model is popping up more and more around like the United States and access to like having like, maybe it's not insurance route and having access to that. So I think it is trending that way. But like, you still have to find people who are like-minded. Because one thing to Elevate specifically is like our faith is very prominent in what we do. Again, we're not like shoving it down anyone's face, but like that's where we lead from. We lead from love. And
it's not hidden.
Yeah. And so they can be the best practitioner and clinician in the world, but if they are not rooted in that love, then it's hard. So I think from like the practitioner side of things, I think it's trending that way because people realize we can be better in that route. But I think like there probably still is a lot of room for growth from like, okay, but like, why are we doing it?
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's really good. So speaking of that, when you guys are looking at 2025, like we're at the end of the year, so a lot of businesses, you evaluate how did the year go. You're looking at planning for 2026, like what are our targets and things.
Yeah.
Do you guys measure things differently? Like when you guys say like, hey, this is like some of our targets and our goals, and we're looking at how the impact that our business is going to have, How do you guys measure? Because it's not just bodies and churning them in and out of the door. It's different for you. How does that work?
So we have a standard financial goals, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't impact people if you aren't
Don't exist.
alive. You know what I mean? So
You know how to make money.
there's absolutely some like financial aspect to the goals that we set and that we're running after. And it's been kind of a fun experience to learn how to approach that from a business perspective because, you know, we're trained as physical therapy. So
Yeah.
that's been a fun journey in and of itself, a conversation for another time. But there's impact goals that we look at too, of like how many people can we impact? What are the stories that we can tell? And they're less about numbers and less about revenue and these types of things, but like what are some of these stories that share and tell the impact that we're having? We also are part of a mentorship program right now that talks about building redemptive businesses, kingdom businesses.
Yeah.
And it really runs on this concept of I sacrifice so that we win. And it's an area where we're really looking at like how much pro bono work can we do of people in need that maybe couldn't afford our services otherwise. And so there's impact goals like that we chase after as well. Like, hey, we're really trying to do more than make a successful business. And where can we sacrifice for our team members or patients coming in looking for healing, restorative stuff that maybe we can meet them where they're at.
Wow, that's really good.
I think a lot of it too is like there's not a lot of metrics for that. I think a lot of it is we want people to tell stories, and so like collecting stories and like making those stories at the front of what we do so people know. Because yeah, you can very easily, and I mean we have to check it a lot, like die to our flesh of like you have the financial goals, you have the number goals, and that's important because like you said, if you don't have those, then you're not in business. But continue to remind yourself of like the stories, the people, the impact, like even just like taking a step back in the day-to-day at the gym and say like, wow, we have 50 people in here right now. And like, I know their names, they know my names. Like we know their story, they know my story. And like, sometimes again, it's not a tangible thing all the time, but being able to tell those stories is super important.
Well, it's pretty unique though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very, very different. I mean, you guys are running a business model that's not normal at all. How do you guys, okay, this is going to shift topics a little bit.
Perfect.
How do you guys stay grounded like in the word and in your faith with the busyness of it all? Because I'm sure like when you start a business and you're running it and you're operating it and you're in it every day, I mean, it's a grind. It's a lot of time. How do you stay rooted in faith and keep your priorities focused?
Yeah. I mean, I can start, then you can. I think like that's something I've learned over the course of the 2 years or coming up on 2 years that we've had our location, because you just quickly realize like time is super important. And when I was growing in my faith a lot in the beginning, like I came from a place like I didn't want to be super like structured and rigid. Like I wanted this relationship, which I think is super, super important. But I think like then I get into the weeds of business and like how much time and energy it takes. I realized, okay, no, that structure has a purpose as well. So I think that's something like I personally have had to continue to play with and like understanding the importance of schedule maintenance and managing a schedule and allowing time for that and understanding what's my sacred time and what's not my sacred time. Like where can I adapt and be flexible and where it's like, no, like I have to stand firm here.
Yeah.
Definitely still growing and learning in that. There's rhythms but I think like, it's just funny looking back, like originally I was like, I don't want to be super structured with this for my faith. But now I'm like, man, I kind of have to build that in now because of how the schedule
routines are super important. Like the longer you go in life, it's like, wow, I kind of really need that.
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy.
So what is yours now? How have you tackled that problem? Because I get the relationship and like not wanting to be more fluid with it because you obviously I'm like, all right, Jesus, I want you to influence a lot of the areas of my life. But what time am I specifically carving out where I know that I'm going to be just with you and put that on a calendar almost as if it's an appointment that's just as important that I can't let somebody else down. Like I'm going to schedule that time. Like how do you do it?
Yeah, I think that's been probably like the last 3 to 5 months has been like a super important thing for me. We're lucky enough to work with a business coach who's also very rooted in his faith and like bringing that to light. And so for me, it's been, like you said, like building out a schedule where it's like, no, this is my time. So I try to start every morning rooted in that. So whether it be prayer, scripture, worship, whatever it is. And then there's different rhythms throughout my week as well with like small groups in church. But then like one thing we love is like, okay, how do you then integrate that into like it isn't a structured time as well? So I'd say my structured time starts in the mornings and then having the things throughout the week that I know are scheduled, but then, okay, how do we bring that into like all our walks of life? And I think one thing we do like with our team is like we have those conversations. Like we're not afraid or not willing to have those conversations, and like having a business partner who has that same like growth mindset in their faith is super important, because then we hold each other accountable. It's like, hey, like how have you maybe let the ball slip a little bit, and like holding each other accountable. But yeah, I have realized like the last 3 to 5 months has been like, okay, no, I need to make this, like I'm scheduling out time and carving out time and sticking to it and building that rhythm.
You have like a built-in accountability partner.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
I mean, that's
one of the
pretty
biggest
cool.
things for me is our community.
Yeah.
And seeing all the people around us run after Jesus, it kind of sets you up for success in the way that we're all doing this together. And to have someone that you can constantly be checking each other with it makes it so much easier for sure. It's a huge thing. One thing that's been so helpful for me in my structure is actually practicing a Sabbath. And so I was like,
this has come up a couple of times. I'm curious to see how you do it.
It is such a challenge. And you know what? It's not
Why
perfect.
is that so hard? It seems like it should be like, wow, I get to rest. Like this should be, it should be easy.
It should be joyous, right?
It's very hard to stop
It
and
should
rest.
be joyous. So I have a very logical brain. I like to understand things and learn and stuff like this. And so
That's why you were such a good basketball player.
that's exactly right.
I don't know why.
It's great. And so I honestly, what really convicted me of this was the work of John Mark Comer, if you're familiar with Practicing the Way. And he talks a lot about rest and Sabbath. And it really started to click once you start looking back into history and religion and the origins of the church and why Sabbath was commanded, not suggested, but commanded, and all of this stuff. And you start to look at people who still practice Sabbath regularly, and they live so many years, 11 years longer, and you do the math, and it's 1/7 longer than people, and you start to say, huh.
Do they really?
Interesting. It's crazy.
That's a real stat.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's crazy.
So what do they live, like upper 80s or something? Because what's
Yeah.
the life expectancy? Like 78-ish?
Something
Something
like
like
that,
that?
for sure.
Wow. Okay.
It's an interesting thing to look into. But then it started to convict me, like, what are we doing? And my tendency is to get sucked in and to run all the time and work really hard, especially for something that we love so much, that we feel like we're called to.
Yeah.
It's so easy to make that our God, our idol, right?
100%.
Like, it's so easy to do that. And if you don't put strict...
It's like an idol in disguise, because it's like, oh yeah,
we're doing good things, and
correct.
things, but
even if you're doing it for the kingdom, and you guys, 100%.
So strict guardrails on that is so important. And so I try my best, and it's flexible, and we are not super strict on this, but my Friday night through Saturday night becomes my Sabbath, and I try my best to not schedule any work at all. Try to have like meals made, just like hang with my people, make it super relaxed. Anything that doesn't fit into the bucket of rest or worship, try to throw it out. And it's hard. I'm not great at it. I'm learning how to do it, but it is so fruitful. When I do practice it fully, I go into the next week like ready to run through a brick wall.
Yeah, like you
feel rested.
actually do feel rested. Like you got this check off for a second and be like, all right, I'm going to go. Wow. Yeah, Sabbath is something that's eluded me for a long time. We have the same kind of a rhythm where Friday night, we typically shut it down as a family, but then it picks up Saturday morning. Like Friday night, I was like, but it doesn't go until Saturday night. Like basketball games at 9 o'clock for your kid, and then you're running here and there, and you're volunteering, and you're doing. It's never ending. Do you do it?
I need to get better at it. I will say, like I feel like my Sunday, I just kind of make it my Sabbath, but I don't think it's very intentional.
Yeah,
So definitely can grow there.
yeah. It's just a random Sabbath.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. I do hear a lot of like wisdom in if you're going to prioritize your faith and you're going to have some sort of a routine, do it in the morning before the day gets started, before you get distracted. So, I mean, I think that's really wise to do.
It's the first fruits.
Yeah, 100%. Did you guys ever think, like, this is just funny for me to like think about you guys being second graders sitting in front of me? Like, what do the second grade versions of you guys look like? But
Hair.
Yeah, we both had long hair.
did you ever think when you were that age, like, yeah, one day me and this guy are going to be accountability partners, like running a business? And
I think like the first, like, not that young. No, it was always like, how can we just be outside playing games, running around, being idiots? But
Yeah.
I think like that, we grew up in in like the Akron area, and there was a sports performance gym there called 440. And like Kevin more so than me, but like a lot of us spend our time there, or like training there, hanging out there, working out there. And I think like that was like the first time we got a glimpse of community in like a healthy environment of like health and wellness. And I think we had talks like in my basement and maybe in high school or early college of undergrad, like, hey, like that'd be sweet one day to own a gym and like be able to work out and just be there all the time, have our friends there. And yeah, it's grown into that, and it's been awesome to see. But definitely not second grade. We were stupid kids in second grade.
I've never heard of. I don't personally know anybody that's known each other this long and ends up being business partners. When you guys launched this, I'm just curious because I know almost everybody that starts anything when it's a new business venture, there's a lot of fear and there's doubt that creeps in about it, and usually it's not just super easy to do. There's difficulties that present themselves that are real and tangible. When you guys were going through that, did you lean on your faith in any certain specific way? Or are there any stories about that now, looking back, that you could give some encouragement maybe to another new entrepreneur or somebody who's thinking about kind of going out on a limb a little bit?
I think that there's the word that comes to mind is trust. It's like that's where you develop trust. You know, you say all the time, trust in God and trust process or whatever it is, but you can't really develop trust until you have to trust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so in those moments, I think that you really have to trust that God's got you, and that's it, right? That's truly it. And so it really tests your faith and your endurance in that. But you know, there are some strategic things that we had set up as well in the sense of having a part-time job as we were growing and stuff like that. But especially when we made the jump and said like, we're doing this thing full go, no safety net anymore, that was where trust is really challenged, but also developed.
I think like one thing that's been big on this year of my life, my mentor, I don't know if he got it from a book or told me, but he was like, God's in the realm of outcomes. Like we're not in that realm. We're just in the realm of like each day choosing to trust him and like walking in faith. And I think there's also a statistic, I'm going to get it wrong, but like 90% of your fears like never happen or something insane.
Oh yeah.
And so like, I don't know, it's a hard concept. Because it isn't, again, we're so tangible. I feel like we want to be in control, and like to let that go a little bit has been a major theme in my life the last year of like, hey, I'm not in the realm of outcomes, like, because I know the ultimate outcome is like eternity with God. And so like, that's the outcome, really the only outcome that we care about or should care about. The other outcomes like on this life, like we're not in the realm of that. God has it. And so just like showing up and trusting that every day. But like Kevin said, we had steps to take to make it so it wasn't just like blind. And we've had great counsel and like great support from our family and friends that have like poured into us so much, and so that makes it easier too, where like if it weren't to work out, you know, like you're not going to be seen any different way from those who love you and care about you. So that's been super helpful.
But then it's cool to look back and see how God has provided or been faithful, and then it makes it easier to trust more, or it makes you want to trust more. So then it makes me look at my finances different, tithing, right? Like those types of things is like, I can trust God with his money, right? What a weird.
You're the one that invested all this, not me. Like,
exactly. Right.
I didn't create
so
all
it really creates this and builds this trust that stretches across all of life.
It is interesting when you start looking at like, what's the worst case scenario? Because your comment on most of the fears never come to fruition. They don't. And every now and then there's something that happens that's, you know, you didn't even see coming. You're like, oh, wow, that would have been scary had I known. But then when it's upon you, you find yourself able to overcome it. Like, it's not like life just ends. Like, you can move through a lot of scenarios. We're capable of a lot more than we think, which is kind of crazy. But worst case scenario, like if things don't work, you still have your family, you still have your health, you still have each other, you still have the Lord. Like it's really not that scary.
Right.
All right. Question for each of you. What have you learned most about yourself and most about God through this process of starting and running this business?
Really good.
Honestly, I think like personally, owning a business, like you have to wear so many hats. And something for me that I realized in this, especially this last year as well, is like I'm very task oriented. So like I think, and I feel like most humans probably are very good at like seeing a list, doing the list, crossing it off. Like my whole life, like sports, I was training for a game, for a tournament. In school, I was studying for a test. And then you get into my traditional insurance-based job that I had. Like I have this plan of care with this patient, then it's done. I move on to the next one. There was always a finite end goal thing that I could work towards and check things off and it'd be done. I think one thing that I've had to really pour into myself this year is like, okay, with owning a business, it's not like that. Like, yeah, those things happen. There's checklist items that you can do, but like a lot of it is like almost, again, like things that may not happen, things that will happen. How do I continue to push this envelope to where like we're working on the business, not in the business every day? And it's just been very new. It's been very new and had to have to learn and have to grow. And so like investing in like my personal life, I've been very good at investing in my practitioner life. Like I'm very good at investing in my faith life, but like, okay, now I'm a business owner as well. Like how do I invest in myself in that? So that's been really hard and frustrating, but also cool to see over the last year for me personally. And then the God thing, I think it's just to Kevin's point that he made earlier, like anytime like I do have a fear or doubt, like he just has continued to show up or provide nudges and reminders of like, okay, like this is like, you're okay. And also this is why you're doing it. Like it's so easy to get into the day to day and like head down grind mode, but then like being able to step back and like, whether it be like we had a Movember charity gala for men's mental health and like seeing hundreds of people show up and just like take a step back and like people are talking that probably would have never talked if like Elevate hadn't been a thing and like God not ordained that. And so it's been super cool to see like he's so faithful and he shows up and he's like, I feel like he's given sarcastic nudges too. And I don't know, it's just been a great.
Yeah. Those are always the fun ones.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah, because he doesn't. Whenever you're going through it, he doesn't just solve the problem. It doesn't just provide the thing you think you want. But then every now and then he's like, "Yeah, I'm still here," and it's I know that God, he has to have a sense of humor because we do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So every now and then I feel like I get one of those too, where it's like, "See, dude, like I still got you. It's okay."
That's right. It's really good.
How about you?
I think for me, it's been a lot of that I've learned about myself that God has taught me is one, there's like grace in this for me, and that it's a really long race. I think that it's really easy to get caught up in the weeds of we need to figure this out. We need to figure it out now. We need to solve these problems. We need to put in crazy hours. We need to do things. And like you hustle after, you have to, but there's grace in this for you. Like you don't have to get it right the first time. You can fail and learn, and that's part of the process. And maybe also don't take yourself so seriously all the time. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, hey, you're doing this with your best friend that we used to talk about in the basement of your parents' house, right? Like, what a cool thing. And don't take this so seriously all the time.
Talk about like a vision come to life. Like, like it's.
I can you imagine like high school high school guys, you talk about it in your basement, like it really happened. It's really cool. But definitely just learning a lot of that there is patience and grace through this all, and that we're doing the thing, and we can trust that God's going to guide us on the right path as long as we keep an ear tuned to him. Yeah. And I think that's been a big learning thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's, he does continue to show up all the time, but yeah, it is a long race, but then the other side of the coin of that is like how fast it goes. It's like, isn't it weird how time works that way?
Paradoxical for sure.
I mean, how long have you guys been open now?
3 years.
What's that? Does it feel like that?
No.
I mean,
feels like a year.
Yeah, especially
I'm sure
since
it
we got
does.
this like our new like it's felt like yesterday.
Yeah, you probably remember moving in.
Yeah.
It's like how fast time flies. Yeah. It's kind of crazy like that. But what I've found is like regardless because you mentioned like difficulties and things like that, like, well, if things are going really, really well, at least this is in my history in the past, I tend to see leaders worry about keeping it that way. Now it's like protecting what we have. Like there's just some sort of a fear that it's going to evaporate or it's not always going to stay like that. And then when things aren't going so well, it's like this massive fear that we're not going to fix it. And like all your energy goes to try to fixing it right away. They're both not right. Time keeps marching on. And as long as we stay faithful with God's call and the mission that he's laid on our heart, he's going to continue to guide the steps. The path is going to form. Like, I don't know why it's very hard to see that in the moment. Yeah. But the fear, the doubts, the difficulties, they're always going to be there, especially when you're in charge.
Absolutely.
You guys aren't going in, getting a W-2 and getting a paycheck and going home. Like you're calling all the shots.
Doing the thing.
It's interesting. So what's coming up that you guys are most excited about? Like is there anything happening in 2026 that people need to know about?
I think we're really trying to open up the floodgates and impact more people. I think for this, we moved into our new space, as Ken mentioned, last August, and it was a huge project to get all the moving parts situated. We brought on a GM, Mamba, who's amazing and has helped in so many ways and taken so much off of our plates. And there was just so much to do that we needed to do foundationally before we could really put the pedal to the metal, so to speak. And so I think we're ready to like let it rip and reach more people and tell some more amazing stories. And so we've got a lot of awesome like programs and stuff running and coming in 2026. And I think we're just ready to meet people where they're at and help them reach their goals and heal.
Yeah. I think the thing I'm most excited for is just to continue to see the community grow and develop and like be able to host events where people meet each other. And that to me is most fruitful. Obviously you have the parts that come with the gym, like New Year's coming up, like you're going to get the New Year's resolutions and the games and the fun things, but like just like hosting events and continue to create spaces and more spaces for people to build relationships, like feel seen. It's very rewarding.
That's awesome. So just to like recap, if somebody is in need and they need physical therapy, like actual physical therapy, they can come see you literally like tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So that's
Which a lot of people don't know. I mean, it sounds like that's a surprise.
Well, it is for me. Yeah. Normally it would be like, all right, how do I schedule this? I would call my doctor. I don't know. I'd get a referral. Like, I don't know how it works. Yeah. I wouldn't expect that I could just like show up and somebody would be ready to like help me out. All right. So, and you guys are located where?
We're in Bexley.
In Bexley?
Yep.
Okay. And then as far as like all the other signups for like the different like fitness training and things like that, is that all on the website?
Yep. Everything's on one website.
And where would they go? What's the website called?
ElevatePTperformance.com, or you can search Elevate Human Performance. And follow the website, follow us on socials, on Instagram, most active, elevate.pt.performance. And we keep up to date on there on everything. But all I got to do is follow the website, reach out to us, and we'll help you level up.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. And it's inspiring what you're doing. It's super rare. I haven't really heard of anybody else that's given it a go like this. But thanks for your faith and thanks for your openness and willingness to come on and talk about it and all the other things that you're doing in the community. Well, if you guys want any more resources for books, the newsletter, or to listen to any of the shows that we've recorded, you can do so at markgreaves.com. But we're over and out. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the First in Focus show. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and then share with a friend.